Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. This is Melvin coming at you again. It's still Shabbat, but the shadows are getting long and the day is drawing to a close. And I'm trying to just finish out and just chill for the rest of the evening and the rest of the day. But this subject is still stirring around in my spirit. And so here I am again today, beloved. We want to I want you to think with me about the rapture as the day that has been hidden in plain sight. I believe that this day is the day in all of the days that comprise this generation. And there have been some significant dates in this generation, as in every generation. There are dates that are more significant than others. And in my generation, there is the date that will go down in infamy. We know that as December 7th, 1941. That's the date that Pearl Harbor was attacked, and that date changed everything. The world it rearranged the whole entire world and human civilization. So days are significant in and of themselves, and some days have more significance in terms of their impact and influence on history and the future than other days. And I believe that the rapture is one of those days. Not only is it one of those days, but for this generation that has watched the fig tree blossom. We're looking for a day that Jesus says when you see the fig tree blossom, you know that that's coming a day that I'm going to be near, even at the doors. And so I believe that the rapture is the day for this generation. And it's a day that God has not hidden from us, but a day that he has hidden for us. And I believe that God wants his children to long for his appearing, to be excited about his soon coming, his arrival as King of Kings, to come and to redeem his people and to validate all of his promises that he has made to us, and to declare to a lost and dying world that he is God, and that he is serious about and he means business when he says what he says. History is God's way of just saying that I'm God, that there is nobody like me. Isaiah chapter 46, beginning at verse 8, the Bible reads, "Remember this, and be assured. Recall it to mind, you transgressors. Remember the former things long past. For I am God, and there is no other. I, God, and there is no one like me, declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times things which have not been done, saying, my purpose will be established, and I will accomplish all my good pleasure." Whatever I've said, whatever I've told you that would happen, that is going to happen, it has happened. It will happen. It's going to happen. Truly, I have spoken, the latter part of verse 11. Truly, I will bring it to pass. I have planned, I will do it. We've already established in the last video that God is a planning God. Isaiah said he plans in perfect faithfulness. He does everything that he is planned out to do. And He's planned for this generation to experience a day. And we're longing for this day. We're looking for this day. We're praying for this day. We're studying about this day. We're dreaming about this day. We're seeing visions about this day. And it's a day that God is not, as some people may claim, God is deliberately keeping us in the dark about this day. But no, he is not keeping us in the dark, beloved. He is leading us in the light. He doesn't hide things from us. He has hidden this day for us. Just look at Luke, the 17th chapter. Luke chapter 17. And oh, what a day we have on the horizon. In Luke chapter 17, verse, let's see, start at verse 22. And he said to the disciples, the days shall come. This is Jesus speaking now. The days shall come when you will long to see one of the days of the Son of Man, and you will not see it. And they will say to you, look there, look here. Do not go away and do not run after them. For just as the lightning, when it flashes out of one part of the sky, shines to the other part of the sky, so will the Son of Man be in his day. There is a day on the calendar of humanity that's called his day. That's what Jesus called it. It's a day that's been set aside. And Jesus says, I'm calling it my day, his day. That's the day when just as the lightning, when it flashes out of one part of the sky and shines to the other part of the sky, so will the Son of Man be in his day. But first, he must suffer many things and be rejected by this generation. You know, the generation of Jesus is the generation of Jesus. They had their day. I mean, and they could have known all of the important days that was on the calendar, God had put on the calendar for their generation. As a matter of fact, the reason that they were blinded is because they failed to recognize the day of their visitation. I mean, Jesus rode into Jerusalem on the day, not around the day, on the day that Daniel said he was going to show up, on the day that they had been rehearsing for generation after generation, taking a lamb on the first month and on the 10th day of the month and bringing it in and slaughtering on the 14th at twilight. I mean, they had been practicing this convocation, they had been rehearsing this day. And Jesus showed up and says, okay, the day has arrived, the day that Daniel said, I'm here, not close to the day, I'm here on the day. And because you failed to recognize the day of your visitation, he says, now your temple is left unto you desolate. Jesus says, you should have known. I had this date. This appointment was on your calendar. God hid. When we think about God, how God hides his salvation, his Yeshua in plain sight, we think about even when he was born. The wise man came from the east saying, where is he who was born king in Israel? I mean, we're looking for him. God had hidden him with the most unlikely couple. Virgin by the name of Mary and a carpenter by the name of Joseph. Hidden him in their care in plain view. Even when he was dedicated in the temple, in plain view of all the people, there were only two sets of eyes that God allowed to recognize the salvation that he was hiding in plain view of his people Israel. The prophetess Anna and Simeon. Hidden in plain view. But the enemy knew that God was hiding something that he was revealing to the world, a light to the Gentiles. And he says, I'm going to find out where he is hiding. He's hiding somewhere in this sea of humanity, hiding somewhere in Jerusalem. And so I'm going to find him and kill him. And God showed up just like he showed up way back in the days of Egypt when they were trying to hide Moses. And God says, I already knew about this. Part of my plan is for me to hide him in plain sight in Egypt. And then when God got ready to bring him back to Jerusalem, he hid him in a place nobody would look for him, so that when God was finally unveiling his son, I heard somebody comment when they discovered he was raised in Nazareth, can any good thing come out of Nazareth? Because God had hidden him in a place where nobody would look for a Messiah. Nobody looks for a king to come out of Nazareth. Nobody looks for any good thing to come out of Nazareth. This day, the rapture, is the day for this generation. Jesus says in verse 26, and just as it happened in the days of Noah, so it shall be also in the days of the Son of Man. And what we saw in the last video is that the day of destruction, the day of deliverance, the day of judgment, it was hidden in plain sight. If you had ears to hear what Noah was saying, if you had eyes to see what Noah was building, you should have known. They were eating, they were drinking, they were marrying, they were being given in marriage until the day that Noah, until the most important day of that generation. It was a day of destruction. It was a day of deliverance. It was a day of judgment. It was a day of justice. And God had hidden the day in plain sight. Verse 20 says, it was the same as happened in the days of Lot. We're going to look at the day Lot left. And we're going to see that God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And Lot wasn't surprised. And the inhabitants of Sodom weren't surprised. Lot's family left in broad daylight. He left where everybody could see them leaving.